the Mind Body Life show, hosted by Frederick Entenmann on Global Voice Radio on Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern. During his show, Mind Body Life founder and best-selling author Frederick Entenmann investigates the little-known insights and daily methods used to create explosive life transformations and transitions with those that have risen from struggle and ascended to greatness. Here is your Mind Body Life host, Frederick Entenmann.
Welcome to the Mind Body Life podcast. I am your host, Frederick Entenmann. I'm a former professional athlete, a best-selling author of Surviving Sports in the Game of Life. I'm also a co-author of Living in Gratitude Daily and Wake Up, Living Your Vibrant Life. I am a coach and consultant for professional athletes, executives, entrepreneurs, and I help them achieve mind-body life harmony. But first and foremost, a nice congratulations to all the contributing authors in the 2018 edition of Living in Gratitude Daily Journal. It's great to be a part of that because it feels so fantastic to be, again, part of such a positive message and make that contribution to help people bring more joy, peace, and that heart-opening love into their lives. What a great tool, because you can set it aside on your desk stand, and that way you can look at it first thing in the morning and get into gratitude and right before you go to bed. Very important to do both. This is episode 7, and since we're about 10 days into the new year of 2018, I'm pretty much going to cover a lot of confusion that has to do with involving weight loss. Very quickly, my background is I have quite a large and successful background with personal training and sports development, and I've probably coached thousands of clients total, if you want to include teams and athletes and moms and dads and average Joes and executives and entrepreneurs, the whole shebang, if you will. So I think there's a lot of confusion about exercising for weight loss as a whole. And I think there's also a lot of myths that often go around. When is the best time to exercise? You know, as gyms and health clubs become packed, if you haven't noticed in January, I know my club is jam-packed, and it's crazy because I see this habit or influx or sudden crazy behavior of trying to do everything all at once. And I just know, I know this for a fact after watching the industry, and just do your research, that 3/4 of those people will not be as excited and they'll lose their steam. They won't have that fire in the belly to keep up with their routine within the second week of February. But there's quite literally millions of resolution-seeking folks that are working to burn off, those festive pounds that pretty much start the end of September, because then we go into October, November, December. That's a good 12, 13, or 14 weeks of pretty much bad habits that lead to these an increase of, I've seen up to 25-pound gain. Anyway, but losing weight by getting quote unquote fit, it's one of the most common used resolutions, right? You see articles everywhere. This is the time of year where everyone hires a personal trainer or a coach and wants to get that weight off in 6 to 12 weeks. But it's also one it's tricky to maintain. If you're looking for instant results like that, if you're struggling to make it to that 6 a.m. class, or if you're tempted to skip the gym after work, it may very well be because you're not exercising at the right time for your body. Everybody's different. There are no two bodies alike. And basically, from what I've seen over the years, when it comes to exercise, we can be divided into two groups. I used to call them the early birds and then the night owls. Me, myself, I'm an early bird. I've always been a 5 a.m. guy. That's just kind of how my body ticks and is calibrated. So it works for me. But not trying to fight that could help you stay motivated. I am sure you've heard that exercising in the morning is best for weight loss, right? And although there's no right or wrong time to exercise, there is an ideal time of day when your body and mind are in full working order and you can get the most out of your workout. You'll notice it might even be, I used to coach clients into gaining awareness of when that peak energy time is. That's when you want to work out actually to get the most out of it. So let me just go over some things here. Just let me know if the following sound familiar. I actually wrote down what I've seen over the years. A lot of excuses are, well, I have struggle falling asleep. And like I said, after 10 plus years in the health and wellness business, I can say that a morning training is likely to be better for you from what I've seen, the quickest, fastest results. I mean, sure, some people experience problems with sleep after they've trained too close going to bed because their adrenaline levels high, their brain is active, and it's difficult to wind down. So if your schedule allows, try a morning session and compare your sleep to when you train in the morning. And if you do only have time to exercise in the evening, just be careful about what kind of workout you do. And also, just a fair warning, is people also notice differences between cardio and weightlifting, such as after cardio, they sleep like a rock, or whereas after weightlifting, they're too energized to sleep. So when it comes to exercising in the morning is best to get it over and done. And that's kind of why I've always done it personally, because as the day goes on and I have tasks or goals that want to get done in that workouts in the back burner, it really personally takes away from my focus. It causes me anxiety, and knowing what I know about moving first thing in the morning, I am partial to that because it fires up your entire nervous system and gets the metabolism going and leads to all kinds of physiological responses that are only positive. But if you can't stick to your workout routine, there really are two reasons why morning exercise tackles this issue. First, your willpower is said to be the strongest in the morning. And secondly, it stops other things in the way of training for that training workout. Because believe me, I know after a long day of work, sometimes all you really want to do is go home and settle in. And the last thing you want to do is exert even more energy, focus, time into that workout, especially when it's packed at that time as well. And then, the next evening you're out for dinner, and the day after that you end up working late. We all know those unexpected things that keep coming up and get in the way of our workout routine. I've heard every kind of excuse, but that really makes sense to me. So by getting your workout over and out of the way first thing in the morning, you can still enjoy all of your social events without having to use them as an excuse. And there's another bonus to getting the gym done and dusted by lunch. If you hate queuing for weights at the gym, like I said, which I personally do, I can't stand it. And that actually would lower my drive to go. I can naturally understand other people. The gym will normally be less crowded in the earlier hours. Trust me, I've seen it over the past 3 decades. And This means you can complete your workout without any interruptions or fights for weights or machines and whatever. There's also a need to de-stress. So if you need a mental relief from a long and rough day or something to free your mind, I suggest de-stressing and taking your frustration out on an evening training session. It's probably your best choice. I mean, it doesn't have to be heavy. I typically, when I coach my CEOs, for instance, I actually recommend a heavy AM, probably just a half hour to get the weights in, and then a nice light PM to rid yourself of all that stress and recharge your body again, because it's much more likely to clear your mind and calm you down than, let's say, the habits that aren't going to get you forward, such as, once you sit down, you're going to have that bottle of wine and you crack it open and you have to drink the whole thing, right? Or that's when you start with the comfort food on the couch. These are just examples. I've heard them all, but let's be realistic. Morning exercise might not be for you if your body doesn't respond well to fasted workouts either, because you're getting up out of bed out of a fast and you go work out. So I've also seen many experience dizziness during an early morning session, and it usually occurs because the person's body or body chemistry needs that little bit of fuel, and they haven't fueled their body enough before training. Every person is different when it comes to food intake before working out, and everyone is different. So just learn your body, learn something about yourself, and then take the appropriate action. And therefore, it's also a fact to consider when scheduling your workout. Consider, can you actually train on an empty stomach? And then morning training shouldn't be an issue. But if you need some energy in the tank, other than a banana or, a handful of nuts or whatever, training in the evening means you can eat at least about 2 hours before you work out to ensure your food's fully digested, and then it's already converted into energy as well. And then, you have the post weight loss. When someone actually loses about 10 pounds, we have, while, keeping fit and feeling good are people's basic reasons for exercising, the weight loss tends to top the list. And if that's you, then it could be wise to get your workouts in early. Mornings, I'm telling you, morning workouts are said to kickstart your metabolism. And so you might even burn more calories during the day. That's what almost all the research that I've read will tell you. Studies also show that people who exercise in the morning tend to make healthier food choices for the rest of the day. So that's very important, and that's something to keep in mind. And as of now, I'm actually going to switch over again. If you know any CEOs or executives or GMs, they will love to hear this, because I'm going to go over key components to successful wellness programs. And, something that I've always been fascinated in is behavioral psychology, and having coached and helped thousands of clients from every scope, every body type. Changing behaviors is no easy task. I think it's this single element that might fascinate me and provoke my passion and keep that burning desire to help people. It's the psychological component that's very challenging, and it's not easy for individuals to change on their own, nor is it easy for organizations to facilitate such changes amongst their employees. And the reason is a matter of basic psychology. People have developed their behaviors over the course of their lives as coping skills to enable them to deal with the many and varied issues each and every day. And these behaviors may help to some extent, but often they create additional issues that can be even more threatening and more difficult to address than those that led to the development of the original coping skills, if that makes sense. So what I've seen is companies have tried over the years to help by establishing employee assistance programs, and more recently by implementing various types of wellness programs. These efforts have been minimally successful at best due to overall engagement, and I have a lot of experience with this. I've tried to upstart programs, and the CEOs haven't followed through when I know, in fact, what drives human behavior through studies in corporate environments is, you have to have a great incentive program at stake. But, overall, in fact, I think it explains why employee participation in wellness programs is miserably low. And as of recent research, it's as low as 10%. And also, according to empirical research, there's two primary reasons for this. First, in creating so-called wellness programs, the underlying psychology of non-beneficial behaviors is either not understood or it's just plainly ignored. Because of this, employee participation in wellness programs, it's whether it's including, health fairs or brown bag educational sessions or targeted screenings and activities focusing on diet or weight loss or smoking cessation and exercise, such as what I've done, they simply have low success rates. And I just want you to consider the evidence, because while upwards of literally 60% of U.S. corporations offer some type of wellness program, and it might actually be higher after this last year, and especially since health insurance rates just keep going up. It's ridiculous. But the rate of overweight and obese in the workforce continues to rise as well. And only 15% of American adults engage in regular, vigorous physical activity. And 77% of Americans report being stressed at work. 54% of employees, they plan to leave their jobs when the economy improves. So many organizations report decreased employee productivity and increased absenteeism as an effect. When employee morals are low, it results in a lack of engagement, right? I think it's common sense. So a prerequisite for enthusiastic work performance, creativity and innovation, the high productivity and inspired collaboration, these are all things that obviously every corporation strives and thrives for. But when you have increased absenteeism and morals are low and you have a lack of engagement, wow, I think that explains why 10 to 20% of an entire corporate workforce is actually doing all the work that makes a difference at the end of the day. So, question that I always pondered about what can be done to increase the health, happiness, and enthusiasm of employees. And this almost redefines wellness programs as we know, because it's important first to commend companies for their attempts to even help employees improve their overall health and morale through the wellness programming. I just think it's great for even trying. Certainly not an easy task to tackle. And then in light of the mixed and disappointing results that many programs have even produced, and I've been through this personally, so it's also important to urge companies to persevere, not to just suddenly drop off because something didn't work. You want to rework, test, go over statistics, analyze, and relaunch. Now, their objectives are mostly laudable and, from a business perspective, sound, very sound. It's just their approaches to the problem require rethinking. And this is where my consulting comes into play. This is what I do for corporations. This is what I can do for a company. I am great at solving puzzles. I can go in, analyze, see what you've done, see what you need to rework, relaunch, and get new statistics. This ultimately brings us back to the psychology of changing individuals' behaviors. A successful workplace wellness program that they need to embody. Personally, I think the key components, it has to be habit forming, like I said, which means it needs to be sticky. And it takes at least 12 weeks to create new habits, and that allows change to occur. So new program models need to actually map this. It has to be easy to adopt, and it needs to attract large numbers of participants. For example, a replacement for vacuous solitaire. Or, I mean, it has to be as easy as walking to the water cooler, and it can't disrupt the pace of work. And it has to have a social foundation as well to sustain high participation levels. General ballparks show that only about 10% of people maintain change within 2 years on willpower alone. And according to Change or Die by Alan Deutschman, patients who choose group support, they surround themselves with like-minded people. They find new role models and learn how to apply new information to daily life and are more successful at sustaining change. And the program has to be structured to provide achievable goals to ensure that participants feel a sense of accomplishment in the desire to continue. I don't know about you, but I love incentives. And if you're slightly competitive, hey, that's going to keep the fire in the belly, and that's going to most likely support your habit to keep going. Making goals such as, I want to lose 10 pounds. It's not nearly as achievable as a goal to walk 20 minutes every day or to drink water instead of soda, for example. When goals are more discrete and measurable, then long-term goals are more successful. So that's kind of my example of these 4 components in a wellness structure within a corporation that are the foundation of innovative, result-producing programs that redefine wellness in the workplace. Because they start with a clear understanding of the psychology of change, and they also leverage the social dynamics in the workplace to dramatically increase employee participation. That's what we want. It should be fun as well. And it takes a very creative person, a consultant, to kind of spearhead this. And the results not just improve employee health as well, but improve company health in the form of increased employee engagement, productivity, and morale. And for what I've read and seen, it trickles down from the CEO or the GM from the top. So these 4 components I briefly went over are the philosophical, psychological, intellectual, and drivers in the area of engagement processes by essentially offering a wellness program experience that's social and fun at its core. A proper wellness program that's able to overcome frustrating employee resistance to participate. And both employees and company executive report significant benefits. Now, employees actually report feeling healthier and more productive and more enthusiastic about their jobs and their employers. Employers have cited increased retention, productivity, teamwork, collaboration, and competitiveness, as well as decreases in healthcare costs. So that's return on your investment, right? ROI. And all audiences attribute these benefits to a unique collaborative program design. I think the most fascinating example I've read is Aetna. The CEO of Aetna I believe was injured really badly or became sick and implemented this from the top to bottom and turn the entire corporate culture around. I think it's pretty awesome to increase engagement. And that brings me to the last part here. But conversations with human resource managers and employees at companies that have implemented a collaborative approach have revealed in every case that the results achieved have significantly exceeded initial expectations. So 73% of its program participants said it also made them feel more positive about these programs because it made them feel more productive at work. And not only did everyone love joining teams per se, but they joined teams with people across different work sites and divisions. And when you essentially do something per level or teams, they're all active and help to get people to change their ways and lifestyles, because teams in a work site also form, and then essentially people work better together. So you're creating a whole new social culture within a corporate framework as well. I think in corporate culture, the one thing I see too often or hear too often is the division of people. So the power of developing a program that marries psychology with social technology and small group dynamics is very underestimated. Now, making wellness fun, it's a very serious subject. And health and disease prevention makes it a game. But it's not simply a mat of playing games often with other gamification wellness programs. The game aspect, which is what I essentially was getting into, is reinforced by the element of accountability of each employee to the other members of his or their team. And then as a member of a workplace team, you are accountable to people you see every single day who care about you and who certainly care about your participation success, and the rewards, then the incentives tied to that success and are contingent on each member doing his or her part. And then if you fall behind, you'll hear about it. More important, your fellow teammates will help you stay right on course. Hey, it's a winning proposition for everyone involved. So again, if you're a CEO or you own your own business, now the bottom line, according to the World Economic Forum, is that when health and well-being are actively promoted, companies are 3.5 times more likely to encourage creativity and innovation, 3 times more productive, 4 times less likely to lose talent within 1 year, 8 times more likely to have engaged employees, and 2.5 times more likely to be a best performer. So next time I hear a CEO or GM or owner of a company tell me they don't want to pay my prices, hey, after listening to me, what do you think is the correct answer? You can't put a price on health. You really can't. Hey, I want to thank you for listening to this episode, and I hope you're doing well with your mind, body, and life harmony. You can find me on Facebook. Please ask to join my team, Mind, Body, Life. I'll be so happy to join you, and you can then engage in all of my mind and body and life suggestions. I'm also found on Instagram as Frederick Intamin, should be under Mind, Body, Life Entrepreneur. On Twitter as F.E. Intamin. And if you're in a place already past the new year and the thoughts are starting to creep in, the old habits are starting to creep in, and you feel your momentum's kind of slowing down, and the last 3 years kind of seem more or less the same, but you had different ideas, hey, take a different approach. You can contact me personally, and I'll be sure that you and I will reach new heights in interpersonal growth. So contact me. I'm also a content creator for company blogs. If having a best-selling author interests you, I do mind, body, and life-oriented articles that give a company a lot of credibility and gain attention and views and followers at the same time. Once again, please go to Facebook and ask to join Team Mind, Body, Life. And until next episode, I'm wishing you the best day and the best week. Take care, everybody.
Thank you for joining us. Listen every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern to Frederick Intiman host Mind, Body, Life. Connect with Frederick at www.globalvoiceradio.com. Tune in next week for another edition of Mind, Body, Life on Global Voice Radio, where your message and your voice are heard.